She tried to go for walks because that was about what she could handle exercise wise. But she's like, I used to be really active. I used to go to kickboxing and I used to do all these other fun workout classes and all this stuff. And she's like, I haven't done them in years because my body physically hurts so bad. So we started working on her inflammation, dry brushing, we're opening up her physical pathways. And again, we layered this in to help target it. And after the first month, she really noticed a huge improvement in her pain. She had shoulder pain that she went to PT for a year, and it had gotten a little bit better, but not that much. And she's like, my shoulder is 90% better. Hey there, welcome to the Female Health Solution podcast, where we discuss women's health, hormones, and everything else in between. Join me as we dive into the tools that you need to live your healthiest life. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Female Health Solution podcast. I am your host, Dr. Beth Westy. Today, we're going to be talking about some of the best supplements for menopause. Now, I'm going to be covering a couple of different topics along with menopause, like menopause and stress, menopause and exercise, menopause and, right? Because when we talk about menopause, the thing about it that people kind of get caught up in is that, oh, this is bad or there's something wrong. This is a natural phase of life. Literally half of the population, if you live long enough, you will be in menopause or post-menopause at some point. That's awesome. That means that you lived a full life, right? Again, pending you did not have a hysterectomy or somehow get pushed into menopause for some reason earlier, right? So that's the caveat. For this, I'm talking about the regular menopause. You are in your late 40s, 50s, something, and you went into menopause naturally. Your hormone levels dropped. Your eggs or your ovaries are not producing hormone anymore. That's normal. That's natural. So there's some things that shift and change in the body. Now, I've talked about this in my book, The Female Menopause Solution, which you can get on Amazon, all the nutrient things and some details about how to eat for menopause, right? Making sure you're getting enough protein, making sure you're watching your digestive health. That is really great. But for this, I'm talking about just supplementation and not targeting anything specific with your gut or any issues like that. So keep that in mind. This is just basic. If you want me to do a deep dive on some of those, I absolutely can. Just let me know and I'll add it to my list of videos and content to put out for you guys. Okay. So to start off here, I have some fun things. And I'm going to give you some real examples. And these are things that I actually pull from my supplement cupboard, my own apothecary to talk about because they're really important. So one of the first ones I'm going to pull out here and talk about is the Menopause Balance Tincture that I specifically formulated here for those of you that are in menopause and still feel like you have hormonal symptoms. You still feel like you have hot flashes. You still feel like there's something wrong with your system. You struggle with mood swings, energy. So it's sort of like some lingering PMS symptoms or other issues with your hormones. And you're like, I don't know what it is. This is menopause. This stinks. That's what this is formulated for. There's black cohosh, sage, holy basil, motherwort, red clover, hops, lemon balm, passionflower, lavender, and valerian. So a really, really specific tincture that does help when you're in menopause. Now, is this something you would have to take forever? No, not necessarily, right? I am entering menopause. I'm struggling with my hormonal balance. I don't feel good. I feel agitated. I feel irritated. There's something off with my hormones. This is the thing that's going to be really helpful until your system regulates and evens out. Menopause, it's like the opposite of puberty. Puberty, there's an onboarding of all these hormones. This is the offboarding. Offboarding, is that a word? It's a word now. This helps your system deal with that, right? Okay, so that's my favorite there. The other ones that I really, really love to talk about here are the Adrenal Balance Tincture. This tincture is so vital to help your system deal with any other added stressors, especially when you're in menopause. Your body deals with stress differently. Again, it's not a bad thing. It's just totally different. So it's helpful to have these extra tools to assist your body to process things better. And a lot of this is just because life gets lifey, to quote my friend Diana. Life gets lifey. And the best solution, of course, would be to Listen, change your life. If you're stressed out, go on a vacation or do these other things. How is that a reality for a lot of us, right? If I want to go on vacation, I have to plan it 6 months to a year in advance. And there's specific times of the year that I'm available to do that. Sometimes it revolves around my work schedule or my kids' schedule. And my time is my own. Well, yes, right? But otherwise, it's way more difficult for me to take time to do that, right? So when we look at your life and look at things like that, I don't want to say things that are unreasonable, right? The goal here is to help your system as much as possible while you're still living the life that you live for the most part, right? But there's things we add in, and make sure you're doing meditations, make sure you're doing deep breathing exercises if you're struggling with stress and anxiety and stuff as well, for sure. But then adding a tool like a tincture like this can be equally helpful to make sure your system can process it well. Until some things in life shift or change, or life gets less lifey. Yeah, so there's that. The other one that I like to add in, because again, how your body processes nutrients is different. So the Metabo Boost tincture. This is another tincture. These tinctures are great. Again, quick thing on the tinctures. They are glycerin based, so they're not alcohol, so they don't taste bad. They're not that like disgusting taste in your mouth. And you put them optimally under your tongue and let them sit there for 10, 15, 20 seconds. And then you can swallow. You can put them in a beverage. You can put them in water, tea, whatever. But I just put them right under the tongue because they absorb there the best. And they are very potent for a small amount. And you don't have to keep swallowing capsule after capsule. A great way to get a fantastic blend in. And these are going to help with blood sugar regulation as well. So, which again changes in menopause. Last tincture I'm going to talk about here is the sleep support tincture. Oh, I got sloppy when I took this last. Sleep support tincture. Why is this important? Why is this helpful? When your hormones change, your sleep cycles change. Your sleep regulation changes. So having something to help you fall asleep and stay asleep, fantastic. And I'm saying this as someone who I struggle with insomnia, especially related to my hormones. When I was pregnant, each of my pregnancies, I struggled with insomnia really bad. But this is something that's fantastic because it helps calm your system down and can help you fall asleep and stay asleep. And if you are somebody who wakes up at like middle of the night, have a hard time getting back to sleep, this can help with that. So a great sleep support. And again, there's no melatonin in this. It's just herbs, hops, lemon balm, passionflower, valerian, kava, skullcap, poppy, and chamomile, right? A very, very powerful blend. And again, with a tincture, you can dose it for whatever is helpful for you. If you want to take a full serving, a full dropper full of it, you absolutely can, right? So I dose it for me based on my hormones. During certain phases of my cycle, I'll do a full dropper like this, right? Which is about 20 drops. Or sometimes I'll do 2. Yes, makes all the difference in the world. So those are some of the basic things. The other thing that I love to talk about is a grass-fed beef liver supplement. This is really helpful for iron overall. Iron is one of the number one nutrient deficiencies across the world for people to be, anemic, things like that. And as again, your hormones and your system changes, you want to make sure you're maintaining your overall nutrient levels, maintaining your iron levels, maintaining some of these basic things here. So that's what's really helpful. I mean, there's other brands of this, but this is a brand that I really like. Grass-fed beef liver, whole food, vitamin and mineral support. Now, the one thing about this, again, when you're taking this, a serving is 6 capsules. That's a lot. I know. I have tried to open them up and put them in a shake. I would not recommend that. It was disgusting. I could not finish the shake. It was not good. That was my mistake. But when we're talking about something like this, this is a great thing to layer in, again, to make sure your system is just getting enough nutrients overall. There we go. One of the other things that changes for a lot of gals in menopause is perimenopause into menopause, you are looking at a different reaction to inflammation. You might feel like you get sick a different amount of time. You might react to different things in the environment or feel like, oh my gosh, I have more allergies now. Oh my gosh, my skin is irritated easily or whatever. Maybe I'm just getting old, so my skin is changing, blah, blah, blah. Sure. Okay. But our immune system changes and our body's response to inflammation changes. There's a lot of aches and pains that you will have in your physical body because of this. Some of my favorite things to combat this are, and this supplement is called Inflamease. And again, you can reach out to me, message me if you want the specific links. I will more than happy send you a specific, like, this is the thing I'm talking about. A thing I like about this is that this is 3 capsules per serving. There's 180 capsules in the bottle here that I'm holding. And it's a decent sized bottle. So you get a lot for this. But this is ginger powder, just so you know, curcumin. And then we're looking at boswellia, white willow, hops, and some devil's claw. These are really, really helpful to take out inflammation. So one of my favorite things about this, I had a gal I was working with. She was in menopause. Now, this was maybe last year, but this is one of my favorite stories. One of the things that she had shared with me because of how impactful it was. She had been previously diagnosed with fibromyalgia, and she just talked about how much pain she was in all the time. And it really was hindering her exercise. Like, she tried to go for walks because that was about what she could handle exercise wise. But she's like, I used to be really active. I used to go to kickboxing and I used to do all these other fun workout classes and all this stuff. And she's like, I haven't done them in years because my body physically hurts so bad. From her Dutch test, right? Because we did a Dutch test where we looked at her specific hormone levels. So from her Dutch test, I saw crazy amounts of inflammation in there. And so we started working on her inflammation, dry brushing, we're opening up her physical pathways. And again, we layered this in to help target it. And after the first month, she really noticed a huge improvement in her pain, specifically shoulders, knees, things like that. And she was like, oh my gosh. And she had shoulder pain that she went to PT for a year, and it had gotten a little bit better, but not that much. And she's like, my shoulder is 90% better. It's so much better. She's like, I can reach up into my high cupboards now, do all this stuff. Fantastic, right? And this is early on. We are really on the right track with stuff. She was taking this for maybe 3 or 4 months, and she was reordering some supplements, and she told me this because she thought it was like so interesting. And I find this stuff just kind of funny. She goes, it was just one more thing to take, and I was just trying to cut down on things. I was like, for sure. And not that you would need to take something like this forever, but until your body levels out, sometimes it's helpful to have that tool until it doesn't need it anymore, right? So she didn't reorder it, and she stopped taking it. And she said it was, she went without it for a week. And then she noticed her aches and pains starting to come back. And she said at first she thought she was getting sick because she was so achy and stiff and tight. And she was like, oh, maybe I'm getting sick or something, right? Nope. It was this. She ordered it. It came in because this company, they ship pretty quickly. And she had it in within a few days, and immediately it started to turn around for her again. Night and day difference, right? And again, not something that she's currently on anymore, because that was last year. But it made a big difference overall in her progress and her ability to keep her inflammation down as we're working on some of that stuff. So there's that one. The other favorite one that I have, which again, this one is called Immune Resilience. And again, like I said, if you want these specific ones, I will send it to you. I will send you the link for this. I really like this company. This is another 6 capsules per serving, just to get the therapeutic benefit. You do have to take all of them. But there's American ginseng, turmeric, elderberry, EGCG, resveratrol. And that's right. Quercetin is the main ingredient here. Really, really helping. So especially for histamine response, that's what that quercetin is really helpful for. If you feel like, yes, when my hormones change, I've been getting sick more often, I feel more run down, I catch everything and anything. I have these like high V allergic reactions, something like that. I feel more sensitive to environmental allergens. Again, I use this more seasonally for myself, but there are some people who will be on a regimen or go through a bottle or two and then take a break, something like that. I'm just throwing out suggestions to really help your system because it can make a big difference in how your body's functioning. So that's the immune response one. So those are some basic ones, right? To kind of troubleshoot some things with stress, with sleep, all of that, right? The other thing with menopause, and this is kind of where I want to like leave things, is when you're looking at maintaining your health, realize that how you ate before, how you exercised before, that was for that body that you lived in. So because your body changed internally, you have to change how you maintain it, right? And that's not to say that you're doing it wrong or it's bad or anything like that. It's just, it's different, right? If you've, for those of us that used to drive cars that only had a tape player in them, you know what I mean? Like, I remember when gas was 99 cents a gallon. Okay, I'm not going to get stuck on that tangent, but just to think about driving a car that was, 20 years ago, 30 years ago is very different than driving cars now, today, right? If you drive a car that was, oh my gosh, I'm trying to remember. I think the first car I ever drove was an 86 or an 88 or something like that when I was 16. And the maintenance for that, how you took care of that car, that there were certain things that you checked and that you had to look at all the time, right? Right. Now you drive a different car. It's more modern. It's updated. There's different alerts and systems and things like that. So it's different maintenance. It's not that it's better or worse. It's just different, So that's the way I like to think about taking care of your body now or taking care of your body, in menopause versus before. It's a different meat suit that you live in. So you have to maintain it differently. So if you're doing a lot of exercise, and this is where I see a lot of gals that are in menopause, perimenopause, menopause, frustrated because they're exercising and they're doing all this stuff and you're not supporting your system enough to maintain good, healthy, lean muscle and to really maintain that recovery. Those are two things that really change in menopause. So one of the things I like to talk about is layering in a creatine, some type of supplement that really does help your system with muscle strength and recovery around workouts. If you're doing strength training, which I recommend a lot of women do to maintain that muscle mass because it is different, it's harder to build and maintain lean muscle. It is. So using tools can really, really help. So this is an example of a creatine drink. This is from Nutridyne. Now, again, you can get different brands or things like that. Or if you don't like it flavored, you want to unflavored, just let me know. I will send that to you. Absolutely. There are some B vitamins in this, some choline. There's creatine in here. There is a little bit of like beta alanine and stuff, which gives you that little bit of like face tingle. So like a woo, little bit of a booster in this one. But there's also branched chain amino acids in this. That is why I like it. So again, if you're like, no, I just want the creatine, I can send you one that's just creatine. That's plain, fine, great. That's good too, right? But this one is one that also has the branched chains in it, especially if you have a hard time fueling correctly before or during a workout. If you are doing an intense workout, if you are pushing yourself, doing anything, high intensity, strength training, all that stuff, this is such an easy thing to layer in that has the creatine, which is going to help support that muscle tissue, as well as the branched chain amino acids right there. And then after workouts, getting in a specific branched chain amino acid. This is something that, oh my gosh, the biggest game changer even for me, and I'm not in menopause, that I recommend a lot of people do, especially if you have a really big day. If you have a big day, a long day where you are exhausted, you're on your feet all day, you are, well, in Minnesota here, the state fair is a big deal. If you're walking around the state fair all day and you're like, holy bananas, I'm exhausted. How do I get through this? How do I navigate? Blah, blah, blah. At the end of the day, before you go to bed, if you're like, I am wiped out, have a serving of this before you go to bed. You will feel better in the morning. I swear, it's some of the most helpful stuff to give your system, to give your muscle tissue that fuel before you even go to bed. Easy thing to layer in, easy thing to add in branched chain amino acids. Yeah. So if nothing else, this is one of the number one things I recommend for gals, like either during or after a workout. Now, when you do a workout, and again, we want to make sure you're not overdoing it or pushing yourself too hard. You're incrementing things, all that stuff, but doing strength training and adding in more strength training in menopause is really helpful. It takes about 15 minutes for your body to figure out that you're not working out anymore. Because working out, you're breaking down that muscle tissue, because then your body has the opportunity to rebuild it. So it takes about 15 minutes. You stop your workout, you're stretching, you're doing a cool down, all that stuff. 15 minutes goes by, and then your body actually realizes, oh, we're not in that breakdown mode anymore. What does it want to do? Rebuild. And the reason this is so helpful, branched chain amino acids are so helpful to layer in right at that point, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes even after you do a workout. So timing it correctly, this can be so helpful because then your body's at a point where it's like, I'm ready to rebuild. And the cool thing about this, can you eat protein or have a shake or something after a workout? For sure you can. But your body has to process it and extract the amino acids from that protein versus this just gets uploaded. Your body doesn't really have to digest it. It gets uploaded way quicker and it's available faster for your body. So, like, for example, if I go to the gym and do a workout, I make a drink and have it in my car, and I drink that in my car on the way home. So easy way to layer that in to help support that muscle tissue, recovery, rebuilding, and everything. And again, if you have a stressful day, a long day, something like that, because stress is going to go after your muscle tissue, use that for energy. This is a way to combat that. Branched chain amino acids. So I know there's a picture of a dude on the front of it with like a 6-pack or whatever. I don't care about that. Anyway, but there's a certain, just so you guys know as well, and I talked about the servings with some of the other supplements here, the number of capsules, that type of a thing, the number of dropperfuls for some of the tinctures. It is important, like a scoop of this, a scoop of that, that you actually do the full scoop. Do not take any recommendations that are saying, oh, because you're female, you need less. False. The female body responds differently to stress, and especially when you enter menopause, your system needs a certain amount. This is why I like these certain brands, because they do have the right dosage, the right amount of amino acids or stuff in them to make it have the therapeutic difference in your body. There's a threshold that you have to hit. There's a minimum that you have to reach for that supplement or whatever you're taking for it to do something in your body. Right? One of the biggest mistakes people make is they buy a bottle of something and it says 6 capsules or 3 capsules per serving. And they're like, well, I'll take just 1 or 2. That it's not able to do what it needs to do. Unless it's something like a B vitamin and it's like a crazy amount. There's sometimes with methylation issues, I will make different recommendations on that or something. But other than that, like, keep in mind, there's a reason they formulate things a certain way. There's a reason I formulate my tinctures a certain way with a certain dosage in mind to hit a threshold to make it do something in your body. So when it says a certain recommendation, make sure you're targeting that certain recommendation, that certain amount, and then going from there. So that's what I got for you guys today. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for being here and listening to me talk all about supplementation for menopause. If you have questions, do not hesitate to reach out to me. Again, if you're looking for a specific link, I'll put some links below. But also reach out to me if you're like, hey, what about this or that? Or, hey, I have this thing going on. Would that help or whatever? I always welcome questions because it's so helpful when you can just get a little bit of guidance and take a step in the right direction so you can function better and feel better. So thank you for being here. I super appreciate it. And if this is helpful and you know somebody else that could use this message, please send them. please send this to them. So make sure you're doing all the things, commenting with questions, sending messages with questions, and I appreciate you guys. Bye. Thank you for joining me on today's episode. If you would like more information, just head on over to drbethwesty.com for all the show notes and information from today's episode. And if you're looking for more community, more support, you can find and follow me on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, and I would love to see you there.